We have a solo presenter for this one, Project
Oh,
3, Discover the Magic of Reading with Storypal.ai. This app is an innovative tool that uses personalized images to create a unique and engaging storybook experience for children. The presenter is Akshay. Over to you.
Hi, Bana. Thank you for the introduction. I'll get into the before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one. George R.R. Discover the magic of reading with Storypal.ai. I'm presenting an app that I built as part of the Univ.AI's final project. So the problem that we are trying to solve here is the reading among young children is declining. And if you see with the previous generation, the children are spending less time reading and the enjoyment of reading has also came down. And one of the main reasons for that is the current storytelling technique does not engage or does not excite the children, especially when they have the social medias to work on. So what we are trying to solve here is we are trying to find new ways for us to make the storytelling much more interesting and make the children much more engaging to the stories. So how are we going to do that? We have built an innovative app that uses personalized images to create unique and engaging storybook for the children. It means that each of the children will have their own storybook and they will be the character in that. So the parent will be creating the personalized adventure stories for their children. And how they are going to do that is, the parent will provide the images of the child or the child's closest companions, maybe the pet or even the parent himself. And the parent input the prompt, which are used to create the custom illustration for the storybook. And the AI app finally creates the entire storybook with all the illustration, with all the storylines. So let's look at a sample here, which I've taken from one of our storybook. We'll be getting to this soon. So this is my nephew, Appu, playing in the garden with his black puppy. So this is not an image that we have taken in a mobile phone. It's actually an AI generated image. And you can see here, this is a storyline. Appu take good care of the puppy and the puppy got well soon. The puppy and Appu became very good friends. If you can see here, the storyline and the image generated are inconsistent with each other. So by this, we'll have the entire stories created where the images will resemble the storyline. So what kind of a data that we would need to create such storybook? So we would need personal data with different and diverse background. So this is the images of my nephew. Here, if you can see, most of the images are taken from mobile phone. And what I've observed while training this is that it doesn't actually matter if we have a different background, as long as we have images with different poses, it will give good enough result. So let's look at the model. What kind of model that we have used to create these images? So we have used the stable diffusion model along with the fine-tuning method called Dreambooth, which is something that is released by Google on August 2022. So what is stable diffusion? So stable diffusion is a text-to-image latent diffusion model which generates images. So it consists of majorly three parts. One is a text encoder. The other is an image information creator with a unit and a scheduler. The unit is a convolutional layers with skip connection. And then you have an image decoder. We are looking at stable diffusion during the inference. So look at here, the paradise cosmic beach. So this is the prompt that we are passing. And that would be passed into text encoder, which will be converting that into token embeddings. And which will be an input to the diffusion model along with a random image information tender. This will be an 32 cross 32 tensor. Both of them will be used as input to the diffusion model. The output would be again a 32 into 32 image embedding, which would be passed into that image decoder to generate the image. Now, if you look at the end, the prompt that we have passed and the image that we have created will be consistent with each other. So in the previous case, you saw that the Appu playing the garden. The prompt for that was Appu playing with a black puppy. That was the prompt, and you saw the image generated. So this is how we generate the images. So So let's look at the flow from an user perspective. So the user would provide the images. It can be of the child, it can be of the pet, it can be of the parent himself, because the child connects with his closest companions. So the other input that the parent would have to give us the story outline and the prompt for illustration. The prompts along with the images goes into the stable diffusion model to generate the illustration. And the illustration and the story outline will be used by the app to create the storybook. So let's look at the demo now. So yeah. So let's look at the story that we have gone through now. So this is the story that I've shown you earlier, where the Appu is playing in the garden, and then Appu one day finds an injured black puppy, and Appu became very good friends with the black puppy. And then Appu one day fell into a deep hole, and as you guessed it, the black puppy came to his rescue. And I've shown this, I've shared the story with my sister, and she showed this to his son. So he found this story much more engaging, and he wanted the story to go on, and he was inquiring about the black puppy more and more. But again, while at the beginning, I thought all the stories can be of the children. But when I showed this, my nephew liked the story of me the best, his favorite uncle, and I'll take a stroll through that as well. So if you see here, this is the king, me, sitting in a throne, and God Fortuna gave me a wish that was whatever that I touched would turn into pure gold. And the king Akshay turned arrogant, touching everything into pure gold. And soon, but he realized when he was hungry, he took an apple in his hand and it turned into pure gold. And Akshay cried, this was not a blessing after all. So that gave us the inspiration to like create images not only of the children but also of the parent, favorite uncles. And this is a story that we created of the pet that we have. Now, so we can see here we can create storybooks based on children, adults, and pets. So how is a new story created? So you can see here the parent. So this is a dashboard how it would look like to a user. The parent can see the storyline, that is a storyboard that is created here. And if he wants to create a new story, he can go and click on the plus button, and then he can give the details here. So rather than this, let's look at the already generated image. So this is how like the user would be giving. The user would be giving the title here, Appu's Hero, and the title prompt. This prompt would be used by the stable diffusion model to generate the images. And like the parent can select any of these images, which will automatically update at the backend, and we can see in the storybook with these images. And so one thing that we have to note here is the story outline and the prompt. The prompt is actually an extension of the storyline. It's inspired by the storyline, and this prompt will be used to generate the images. So this makes sure that the generated images and the storyline are consistent with each other. And once these details are given, like we have options to give 5 story lines, and then the parent can give the character name, in this case Appu, in my case Akshay, and the character classes, since Appu is a child, the character class is child. In my case, it's person, male adult, and this is the style that we can give. We can give a digital artist style, or we can give that the king should look like the Egyptian king. These are the prompt style we can use, and we click on save. So you can see the images changed here. And okay, now coming back to the presentation. So this is the first user interview that we have conducted, and this is my nephew trying out this thing. And just to make him more happy, this is upcoming stories for my nephew. Me as a pirate of the Arabian Sea, as a race car driver, and the astronaut. The idea behind this story is that when someone asks him who's his hero, he'll not say some random Iron Man or Batman, but thank you everyone for watching.
Okay, Your Highness Akshay, would you mind answering some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, one question, because we're running a little bit late. I see multiple hands. Let's give the chance to Supreet.
Hello.
Hi, I can hear you.
Yeah. So my question was for Hermano, and this is an file for the field and then process some images from a story.
We are not clear, unfortunately. Can you mind?
Read, your audio is a little bit mumbled. Can you maybe?
Hello.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question was, how many images are needed for the AI to get trained, and then images for the story?
So minimum 10 to 15 images is fine. But when we have at least 25, we'll get more better results.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I think
Just as a quick
Yeah.
follow-up to that, how do you manage consistency of your image between the various frames of the story, so that it doesn't suddenly make you look like Pablos in the second frame?
So one thing is we'll have a consistent prompt style. That is one thing. For all the images that is created in the story outline, the consistent the style will be there for the prompt. And the second thing, one of the reasons we're giving 3 images is that for that it will more. But having the prompt style in consistent with all the storyline will ensure that it syncs with each other. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No. Okay. So, Your Highness, that was a wonderful presentation and a lot of fun.